This video contains content that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the late 90s, a young woman named Liz moved into a century-old Victorian house in Ohio with her husband. They loved the house's charm, the creaky floors, high ceilings, and the grand staircase leading up to the bedrooms. But shortly after moving in, Liz started to feel an odd sensation every time she climbed those stairs, like she wasn't alone. One Halloween night, Liz was home alone. Her husband was working late, so she settled in with a scary movie. But as the movie played, she heard faint creaks from the staircase, as if someone was slowly walking up. At first, she brushed it off as the old house settling, but soon the footsteps grew louder. She muted the TV to listen, and the footsteps stopped. Thinking it might be a draft, Liz decided to go upstairs to make sure the windows were shut. As she climbed, she saw a shadowy figure at the top of the stairs, almost like a silhouette of a person. Frozen in fear, she blinked, and in that moment, the shadow disappeared. But she could still feel the heaviness in the air, like someone was watching her. Years later, Liz learned that the previous owner had seen a similar shadow. An old man who used to live in the house had fallen down those stairs decades ago and never recovered. To this day, Liz believes she saw his shadow lingering, almost as if he were still there, watching over his stairs. In a small town in Tennessee, there was a seasonal Halloween costume shop that always attracted crowds. It was set up each year in an abandoned part of a strip mall. Many people in town knew that this area had a dark history. A fire had broken out in the 80s, claiming the life of a young store clerk who'd worked alone. One Halloween night, the shop's owner, Dave, was working late, unpacking a shipment of last-minute costumes. It was around 11 p.m., and he was the only one there. He was stacking boxes when he heard the soft jingle of the shop's doorbell. He called out, assuming someone had wandered in, but there was no answer, and when he went to check, no one was there. Thinking nothing of it, he returned to his work. But over the next hour, Dave noticed odd things happening. A mannequin near the front window seemed to have shifted positions, and costume racks moved slightly. He brushed it off until he heard someone whisper, "Help!" His skin went cold, and he turned to find the voice, but there was no one around. The next day, a few other workers claimed they too had heard faint whispers in the shop. Some even saw a glimpse of a young woman's reflection in the mirrors lining the fitting room area. The whispers and strange occurrences persisted every Halloween season, and employees began to think that maybe the young clerk's spirit had never left. She lingered, wandering the shop, waiting to finish her last shift. A few years ago, a couple decided to host a Halloween party at their new home in Florida. They'd moved in just a few months earlier and were excited to show off the house to their friends. Everyone dressed in costume, and as the night progressed, they took turns telling ghost stories. Toward midnight, someone suggested using a spirit board they'd found in the garage. The couple agreed, thinking it would be fun. As they started, a few people began to get uncomfortable, especially when the planchette started to move seemingly on its own. They asked the spirit for its name, and it spelled out D-A-V-E. No one at the party knew anyone by that name, so they laughed, assuming it was just a joke. But suddenly, the planchette spelled, "Get out." The lights flickered, and everyone fell silent, feeling a sense of unease. The host tried to laugh it off, but a guest pointed to the corner of the room, where they saw a faint, shadowy figure. Within seconds, it disappeared. After the party ended, the couple started hearing noises in the house. Footsteps in the hallway, cabinets opening on their own. They later discovered that their house's previous owner was named Dave, a reclusive man who had passed away just 2 years before they bought it. Even after they put away the board and tried to forget that night, Dave's presence lingered. To this day, they occasionally hear footsteps in the hallway late at night, as if an unwanted guest still roams the house.